CSL Dallas music team. And good morning to everybody. As you're joining us here online or on campus, we want to say thank you for being with us today. And as a reminder, every day is a day for transformation, spiritual deepening, and heart connection, no matter what's going on. And every day we learn to practice something important that can make a difference. We love that you are here with us today, and we want to invite you to come and sit at the table with us. So join us as we put our hands together for the CSL Dallas music team.
CSL Dallas. Hey, let's say great job to the music team. How about that this morning? And looking so good too in their beautiful February red love. Got it happening. We are so glad to see you. We're glad to see them. We're glad to see you online this morning. Welcome to CSL Dallas. My name is Joe Tinker. Very happy to be your platform assistant today at the Center for Spiritual Living. Hey, we're going to have a spiritual Sunday, but you know what? This is just the kickoff to the week. That's right. We got to get in the classes. We got to get in the workshops. We got to volunteer. We got to do the things here. We got to get our practice on here and learn how to carry that practice out into the world. Is that right? Yeah. That's why we're here. Welcome to CSL Dallas. Maybe you're new to CSL Dallas, or maybe you've been coming here for a long time. Oh, you know what? Before we tell you about this opportunity, let's read our purpose statement together. That'll unify us before we get into all the opportunities. So here we go. We are radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, transforming lives. And so it is. There we go. Now I can tell you about this. If you're new, or maybe if you've been coming here for a long time, either way, it might be time for a little bit of a refresher if you've been with us for a while. What is science of mind as a philosophy or as a practice? Well, today, after Sunday celebration, you can attend a free F-R-E-E, ears perking up. It's a free Science of Mind 101 class, and it's led by our own Dr. Reverend Petra Weldes, that great authority that we have on what is science of mind. It's going to be after service today, so hang out with us. It's from noon to 1. You'll have time to get a little snack in Pankey Hall. Then find your way back over here to the adult classroom side, and this is going to be in the STEM room. So get a little snack after service, say hi to your friends, find your way over, and dig into this with Reverend Dr. Petra. And if you can't stay today, it's also being offered online. We're going to have an online version Tuesday from 7 to 8. So you're going to have the opportunity in this experience to receive a brief overview and an introduction to Science of Mind, as well as ideas about how you can further your journey if you're already here with us at CSL Dallas. Sounds good, yeah? Good. Hope to see you there. We are 3 weeks away from this once-a-year opportunity, and that opportunity is to gather as a global Science of Mind community for our annual Centers for Spiritual Living VISTA convention. That's when, this Wednesday will be your last chance to buy your in-person add-on. There's an add-on to your virtual VISTA ticket to attend the events that are taking place here on our campus at CSL Dallas. Here are some of the awesome in-person things that you'll have an opportunity to be a part of. One, a special evening event with Reverend Dr. Cynthia James. She's been a guest speaker here before, is very well respected in the community. Also special guest speakers, including our newly elected CSL spiritual leader. You'll have music by the CSL House Band with Candy Williams, and Lainey Bernstein will be back to make an appearance. Yep. We have 3 amazing workshops during the convention, spiritual practice sessions, there's community luncheon and dinner, and also a free book of your choice. So a lot of extra add-ons, good stuff right there. Also, hey, here's an opportunity. We're looking for volunteers to support both the lunch and the dinner. So if you can do that, doing so grants you admission to that day's activities and in-person events. So you can sign up in Pankey Hall after service today, or email info@CSL Dallas if you're interested, and maybe we can work that opportunity in for you to get your volunteer game on and help us out. Also, cultivate the emergence of evolutionary love. Boy, that sounds good. Cultivate the emergence of evolutionary love with us together. That's happening, and we hope to see you there. Okay, now, how brave are you? This is the next one. How brave are you? Are you brave enough to face the shadow? Are you willing to stand fully in the light? Well, here's your opportunity to accept an invitation to affirm and experience your inner divinity while honoring your humanness through the course Journey of the Soul. It's starting February 27th. It's being offered with practitioner Carol Merlo. Carol, I saw you walk in earlier. You still here? She's waving her hand there. If you'd like to talk to a dynamo about this, Carol's here today. This class is based on Reverend Dr. Patrick Harbula's book, Magic of the Soul. And you'll be able to experience more of Patrick's work. He's going to be a guest of ours Sunday, February 19th. He'll also be making a special appearance in the class for Carol. So you have a lot to look forward there. One of the nights in the learning, you'll have his appearance there in class. So get with Carol, let her know, and also you can always find us at csldallas.org. Look at the events page, look at classes and workshops. Get into the classes and workshops. We love staying in touch with you, so please follow us on your favorite social media. Get us hooked up with your friends that way. You can see our YouTube channel. You can subscribe there. Leave us a Google review. All of those things help build our presence online. If you aren't getting our emails, by the way, make sure you check your spam folder, because sometimes that's where they start out. Move them over to your inbox, and you'll get that great info coming from CSL Dallas every week. And if you are new to CSL Dallas, welcome. We're glad you're here today. Please fill out a Connect card here in the sanctuary. You can find them at the back of the room. And, or look at any of the old people like me and say, hey, what do I do? What do I do next? I'll be happy. We'll be happy to show you around. Thank you. Someone said I'm not old. I love that. Yeah. I'm not as old as I'm going to be, I can say that. So fill out the Connect card and get hooked up with what's happening here. Well, anyway, we're glad that you found us here today. We're pleased to be with you in person and pleased to be with you online. Let's take a minute now and settle in and center ourselves with some fabulous music from CSL Dallas House Band and with some beautiful thoughts from our practitioner, Peggy Roberts.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
I'm just going to breathe that in, that blessing, and I ask you to do the same. I ask you, if you'd like to close your eyes and place your hand over your heart, letting go of everything you've come before you today, right here, letting go of it, so that you can just be centered in the love that is in this building right here, right now. The blessings that you receive as you come through our doors. The love that each and every one of us shares and has for each other. So that as I look into your eyes, I feel your love and I feel that divinity in you. And I know that you are blessed, as I know that I am blessed and that I am love, where there is only love. I am so blessed. We are so blessed. And together we affirm that blessing by saying, and so it is.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so grateful, I am so blessed. Thank you so much.
Okay, just in case y'all don't know this song, you really do, you just might have forgotten. Well, we are here to remind you that in this life we have choices, right? And when you put that burden on down, because you ain't got to carry it, don't you understand? You do not have to carry that burden no more.
All right, momentarily. Momentarily. We're taking a little moment break because we all have to breathe. After that, I can't remember my code. Woo! Holy moly. All right. I have to be able to read this. So, as you know, we are beginning the celebration of Black History Month all over the nation. And so, just to remind you a little bit, in 1926, Carter Woodson, the scholar often referred to as the father of Black history, established Negro History Week to focus attention on Black contributions to civilization. He picked a week in February because Abraham Lincoln, whose birthday was February 12th, because of Abraham Lincoln, whose birthday was February 12th, and Frederick Douglass, who was born enslaved and did not actually know his birth date, but chose to celebrate it on February 14th. In the decades after the Civil War, I'd like for you to listen to this for a moment. In the decades after the Civil War and through the racial violence that erupted across the country in the years following World War I, there was a concerted effort to repress the teachings of Black history. In the South, they tried to repress Black history or African American history in the public schools, particularly about things like Reconstruction and slavery, literally distorting the curriculum. 1951, California was the first state to actually mandate Black history for the public schools. Largely as a result of the civil rights and Black consciousness movements of the 1960s, you saw an uptick in Black history courses. In 1976, President Ford declared February as Black History Month, calling on the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. So, remembering and reminding ourselves that Black History Month is an opportunity to celebrate the contribution of not only Black history, of the history of African Americans, but the contribution to all of our history. And when someone's history is cut out of the story, it is as if those people didn't exist. This has been tried over the centuries, the millennium of human history, and it never works out well because it's like cutting off a hand or an arm or a heart of part of who we are as humanity. And so it's not just to embrace the past of slavery and to own up to it, but it is actually to celebrate these contributions and to bring that history forward and back into our consciousness. So Dana sent me this fabulous list of Black inventors. There must be 25 or 30 of them. I love them here. So I'm just going to highlight a few. Air conditioning unit by Frederick Jones in 1949. The blood plasma bag by Charles Drew in 1945. The egg beater by Willie Johnson in 1884, a very important thing to have. The fire escape ladder by Joseph Winters in 1878, and the fire extinguisher by Thomas Marshall in 1872. Did you know any of this? Right. The ice cream scoop, another really important thing, which I grew up loving, Alfred Crail in 1897. The mailbox by Paul Downing in 1891. Of course, we all know about peanut butter by George Washington Carver in 1896. The stethoscope by Thomas A. Carrington in 1876. And my personal favorite, because I'm such a ridiculous grandmother, the tricycle by Matthew Cherry in 1886. What we would do without the tricycle, I do not know. So, and so all levity aside, right? How many of those names do we not know? Most of them. So the other names that we don't necessarily know are the names of our Black and African American history in the science of mind. So a number of years ago, Dr. Tracy Brown and a number of other lovely folks put together a series of videos honoring the history within the Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living, our previous name, the Church of Religious Science, of the contribution of those people, African American and Black people who have made such a contribution. So we'll be sharing those videos throughout the month, and we'll be posting them on our Facebook page. So get ready for this special video.
Here's a little-known Black History Science of Mind fact. Jamaican-born Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr. is well known as a businessman, journalist, Pan-Africanist, and powerful orator of the early 1900s. As such, he attracted thousands of followers to his Black nationalist movement that became known as Garveyism. As founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, Garvey encouraged African Americans to be proud of their race and promoted cultural identity through his Back to Africa campaign. But did you know that Garvey was also a follower of the New Thought movement, as well as a student of the ideas and philosophies of religious science? In fact, Garvey studied the same New Thought philosophers as religious science founder Ernest Holmes and his brother Fenwick, and often quoted their teachings. He also was inspired by Divine Science co-founder Nona Brooks. Even the philosophy of transcendentalism, led by writer Ralph Waldo Emerson, resonated with Garvey. He excelled in merging racial philosophical concepts and science of mind principles while addressing the Black condition in America. The strong philosophical beliefs in self-mastery, determination, and willpower that Garvey preached to Black people aligned perfectly with the newly emerging teachings of Science of Mind. In many of Garvey's speeches and writings, he often urged his followers to get a scientific knowledge of religion. His message was clear: liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Another instrumental Jamaican in Science of Mind is Dr. Elma Lumsden, who founded the Temple of Light Church of Religious Science in Kingston, Jamaica in 1981. An engaging speaker and master teacher, Dr. Elma is also known for her simple yet dynamic words of wisdom, such as, "Until you can walk on water, take a boat," and "Life is a school, and we're not on holiday." Due to her leadership and diligence, Lumsden helped religious science become recognized as one of 12 key religions in Jamaica. Dr. Elma Lumsden and Marcus Garvey, Black evolutionaries in Science of Mind.
Thank you so much to Tracy Brown in our African American Circle and to everybody who contributed to that. Oh yeah, okay. All right, so it's been such a revolutionary thought over the last years to realize that the month of love is coupled with Black History Month. I always have found that fascinating. I love it when things come together in conjunction, and it invites us to maybe think about it a little bit differently. So our theme this month for Love and Black History Month is to set an open table. That's our theme for the month of February. And so I was inspired by this theme from the Catholic notion of setting an open table that was part of the same revolutionary consciousness of the 60s, the civil rights movement, the free love movement, the hippie movement, the Jesus freak movement. that really began to think about life and the way in which we come together differently. So I was raised Catholic, and if you may or may not know that if you're not baptized Catholic, you're not allowed to come to the communion rail and take communion. It doesn't matter if you take communion in an Episcopal church. It doesn't matter if you take communion somewhere else. If you are not baptized as a Catholic, you are not invited to what is called the Lord's Supper. So you're not invited to the table. The open table movement started out with this is discrimination because of the strong representation of that through the 60s in so many different ways. And so, and what was also happening at the same time in the Catholic movement, in the Catholic tradition, coming out of South America, primarily Central America, some, was all of the Catholic priests that were beginning to preach the liberation theology of the teachings of Jesus, as opposed to the discrimination that the Catholic Church was practicing at the time. And so this idea of an open table morphed over time beyond just letting anybody who was a Christian coming to the communion table. It also meant beginning to move beyond the ideas of the discrimination towards Black and African American people, towards the LGBTQIA community that were clearly unwelcome, towards all the marginalized people that were unwelcome in the Catholic Church and in the Christian tradition. And these are all based on the teachings of Jesus and the stories about Jesus. And he was, in the biblical stories of the New Testament, accused of having an open table. Well, you'll just have dinner with anybody. Is basically what they said. Look at who you have. You have tax collectors and prostitutes and people who are disabled, right? The blind and the lame and the leper and the pauper and the unclean and the unwashed, and God forbid you should have women at the table. Accused of being someone who had an open table. This is the seed of the liberation philosophy that has been the liberation theology that Pope Francis comes right out of. And you can hear it in the work that he's doing in the Catholic Church. And it is the seed of a lot of what New Thought took from the teachings of Jesus, besides the healing aspects of it. Took the theology that if when you see me, you see the Father, that's true when we see you and you and you and you and you and you. We are seeing the presence of Spirit. And so, so this idea of setting an open table is so deeply embedded in the idea that we live in a loving universe. We live in a universe of love, which is actually not only expressing itself through all of creation, but by definition means that all of creation is loved. That's the piece of the Judeo-Christian Genesis stories that we forget. That in every time, every moment of every aspect of the creation, it was blessed. It is good. 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 And in the Jewish tradition, that's called original blessing. The original blessing of creation, not the original sin of creation. And in the science of mind and in New Thought, we think that makes sense. Right? That makes sense. So I will tell you one of the most beautiful things that I ever read is at the beginning of The Science of Mind, the book itself. And I'm going to read it to you. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter, and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome in my home. There's a room in my house for all. I've swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you, where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Now, the first time I read that was the first inkling I had of belonging to the universe. When I read that and I started moving into the science of mind and it started making sense to me, I was like, oh man, I'm home. But more importantly, this is what life is saying to us. This is how Spirit sees us. This is how Spirit is welcoming us all the time to the table, to the banquet. Now, this banquet isn't a physical banquet because we know that every table is not set equally. But this is a banquet that is set in consciousness. This is the banquet of life itself, the banquet of the qualities of life, of joy and wholeness, of truth, of power, of strength, harmony. The very qualities that we attribute to the divine presence, to Spirit, to life itself in its most absolute state, is in fact available to all of us all the time in consciousness. The creative process. We are all using the creative process. We're all using the creative process all the time, whether we know it or not. It doesn't matter what our spiritual tradition is. It doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter where we come from. The creative process is forever active in our own lives. It is done unto us as we believe, as we believe that we have received, so shall we receive, and that we are welcome at this banquet. The beauty and joy and plenty of creation is, in fact, available to all of us. It is only human interference that makes that truth not actualized. Do you see? If you go to the space station and you look at planet Earth, there are no divinely ordained country borders. There might be the border of sea and land. There might be the border of a mountain range. But no borders can you see that humanity has drawn, because all of creation is present for all of us. It took me a really long time to understand that that's what it means when the science of mind says that Spirit is love. Not so much that there's someone out there loving me and taking care of me as if I couldn't take care of myself, but loving us so much that everything that is needed is given, is available. The absolute qualities of life, the ability to use the creative process, and this beautiful, beautiful creation has been freely given. The table has been set. So my question to all of us is, are we at the table? Are we at the table of consciousness? Are we at that table? Am I willing to stand up and take my place at the table, not because of outer circumstances, but because I know this truth about myself and about you? Or do I hold myself back from the table because I have a feeling of unworthiness, or I believe in my own sense of separation, or I feel like I don't belong. All of which are human constructs. Do you see? The table of life, the table of spirit, that banquet is laid for all of us. But I have to stand up and move forward and be at the table. It is an inside job to decide that the universe is where I belong, that my life is where I belong. And I think of that fabulous list of Black inventors. They put themselves at the table, regardless of the outer circumstances. Can we say the same about ourselves? Are we at the table? Now, because I was raised Catholic, I didn't just have the flying nun, I had the singing nuns. And they were, you know, a kind of hippie group. They had their little guitar and they played their little folk songs, and they were all passages from the teachings of Jesus, and which is when in my youth I became a dyed-in-the-wool Jesus freak, because I was about the teachings of Jesus. I didn't care about what they said about him. I was interested in what he said. And they wrote these amazing songs, none of which I will sing to you. But I still remember 2 or 3 of them that spoke to my soul. And one of those songs is a song called I Cannot Come. And it is based on a parable that Jesus speaks about, that Jesus says, is supposed to have said in Luke and Matthew. I happen to like the Luke version better, and that's the one they used in the song, so clearly I'm right. And so this is a parable about the wedding banquet, the wedding feast. And of course, you know, the master of the house is always the metaphor for God, because we still, back at that point, had that very masculine image. We know better today, but you know, that was the time period. And so the master was having a wedding banquet, and it was a big feast, set a table, sent out the invitation to all of his friends and relatives and neighbors, sent them out, and nobody showed up. What? Fabulous. I mean, think of it. It's an Italian villa. It's an Italian feast. I mean, oh my God, are you kidding? Beautiful wine, gorgeous, home-baked bread. I mean, I can just about taste it, right? Nobody showed up. And so he sent his servants out to go get the people he'd invited. And they said, oh, sorry, I cannot come. One said, I had just purchased some fields and they cost me a lot of money and I got to go take care of them. I can't come. One said, I just purchased a bunch of oxen and I don't know if they're going to work well together, so I have to go work on the oxen because I need them to plow my fields. I cannot come. And one said, I just got married. Sorry, I cannot come. And the master got angry because, these were all his friends and neighbors, and they were too busy to come to the feast. And so he said to his servants, go out into the highways and the byways and bring in everybody. Bring in the present and the pauper and the blind one and the lame one, right? All the non-landowners. Bring them all in. And they did. They went out and they invited people. There's this beautiful banquet. Come be at the banquet. And there were still tables left. And he sent his servants back out and said, go get some more people. And they all came. And because the master said, because my table should be filled. How many invitations have you received? And you were too busy. Oh, man. In our culture today, we take being busy as a status symbol. Look how important I am. I'm too busy. Or we busy ourselves with distractions. And we say, I don't have time to do my meditation because I'm too busy. I have to answer these emails. I have to take care of my child. Man, I got to pay my bills. I got to go to work. What do you mean you want me to sit down for 30 minutes and do a spiritual mind treatment and a meditation and read some spiritually and uplifting books. The table is spread. The table is laid. And this is what it means in those old sayings that said it's knocking, knocking, knocking on the inside on the door. Come to the table, come to the table, come to the table. What reason are we using to hold ourselves as less than and separate and not coming to the table? So this is what it looks like, right? We're running around, busy, 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 and it's all outwardly focused. This banquet is the banquet of consciousness. This has nothing to do with our histories, our backgrounds, or our circumstances. This is the banquet of consciousness. And our evolution of evolutionary love, which is what Vista is all about, begins on the inside. And our claiming that we have a place at the table, that there is nothing in life itself, in consciousness, in spirit, nothing that is keeping us or holding us away. I love this quote. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. From Shirley Chisholm. This means in consciousness. Now, at the end of the month, Marquita and I, Reverend Marquita Pierre McAllister, she's going to share the platform. She's also going to sing, by the way. She's going to knock your socks off. You do not want to miss it, online or in person. And we're going to talk about whether or not we're helping folding chairs to be brought to the table, right? That's a different conversation. This is conversation as, am I bringing a folding chair? In consciousness, am I assuming my place, our place at the table, in our own minds and hearts? Regardless of what all those blankety-blank people might be saying or thinking about us. So some of you know my story. Tell it again for those of you who don't. I found Science Mind when I was 17 or 18. It saved my life, got me over a few year period of time off of drugs and alcohol and all the crazy and terrible things I was doing to myself. Had I not found Science of Mind, I would not be standing here today. I would be dead. And I decided that I wanted other people to have what I had found. The fundamental thing I found was that I belonged in my own life. I belonged to the universe, and nobody could take that away from me. Nobody could take that away from me. So I decided to go into ministerial training because I wanted other people to know that. And what did they say to me? No. No, you don't have a place at this table. You're only 19. What do you think you're going to do? Go have a life. Come back when you're 45 and you have something to say. And I'm thinking, wait, I remember the Catholic priest who came to our parish. I mean, wet behind the ears, right? That's what they say. He was right out of seminary. He was all of 23 years old. And I said to them, they do that, why can't I? I applied again, and they said, no, go have a life. I applied a third time, and then I was invited to have a meeting with the dean of the school in Los Angeles, which was the only place where our ministerial training happened, during the convention. And I thought, ooh, maybe, right? Something will happen here. And he sat me down in that lunch or breakfast, whatever it was, and he said, you have to stop applying. We are not going to let you in. And I said, watch me. So I went back to Seattle. And I brought a folding chair to the table of ministerial training. I started a ministerial training in Seattle with my mentor and with a previous dean of the Los Angeles school who had moved to Seattle, and we had 8 people sign up in a ministerial training that we did not know whether or not would qualify us to become Science of Mind ministers in this organization, and we did not care. We did it anyway. We kept bringing our folding chair to the table, and we kept showing up at the conventions, and we kept showing up, and then, 2 or 3 years later, they were like, wow, you're really kind of doing it, aren't you? By the 4th year, so we had 4 years of full-time university, which was not inexpensive, not knowing that we were going to be accepted. And the last year they finally gave in and said, well, I guess we're going to have to let you sit for the exams. And the person who said that to me said, we'll see how you do. Watch me. I'm pleased to say all 8 of us passed. All 8 of us became, yes, right? Became ministers and went off to do fabulous things. And one of my dearest colleagues at the time is still doing fabulous things, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis in Seattle, part of that original group, and what an amazing experience. No matter the circumstances, I knew where I belonged. I had to find it within myself. I had to learn that it didn't really matter how many times they were going to say no to me. Well, so then I became a minister. Okay, so I'm 24. I was at that time the youngest person who had ever become a minister. We broke a lot of barriers there. We've had other people in their early 20s now in the last 30 or 40 years. Not very many, not as many as I would like to see. And I would go to the conventions, and they liked to stand me up there. So I was a pretty blonde woman. And then they would introduce me as that. Not as a minister in my own right. I was introduced, I wouldn't want this pretty blonde woman down the street from me. She'd steal all my community. She'd steal all my congregants. And I was supposed to give an inspirational talk right after being introduced in that way. For a number of years, that was how I was seen and held. That cute little pretty blonde girl. Well, I showed them different, didn't I? Yes, right? I've spent 25 years contributing to this organization that I love, supporting this philosophy that I believe in, because then there were people who drug a folding chair up for me. Sometimes we do need help. Right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to get to that. But I had to do my work first. Do you see? I had to do my work to know that I was worthy of somebody else dragging a chair up for me, inviting me onto a committee, inviting me on to stand for election, inviting me to participate. And I uninterruptedly participated in the leadership at CSL for God knows how many, 25 years or so. Because I went to the table and other people continually helped me do that. Yeah. So, we have to see ourselves and each other the way that Spirit sees us, the way that life sees us. I think that we have to become colorblind like Spirit is. Now, I know that when you say to a person of color, I don't see color, that means that you are not seeing and you are negating their human experience. Just like I don't want somebody to say to me, well, I don't see that you're blonde, or that you're a woman. That would be like ridiculous, wouldn't it? Really? I'm sorry, I don't notice how tall you are. Right? That's the human experience. And we do not see that. It's nonsense. But Spirit does not see us bound by any physical condition. I don't believe that when I lay this body down and I move on to the next great adventure that I will necessarily be a blonde white woman. I will be me. An individualized expression of the one. Because I think that's how life is as us. So, first, we have to see ourselves and each other as Spirit sees us. But I think being a blonde white woman has been beautiful, regardless of what people have said to me. Do you see? Because that oneness that we are, that one infinite life that we are, as was so beautifully expressed in our video, shows up as diversity. It shows up in our uniqueness. It shows up in our multiplicity. And it is designed to do so. What would it be like if we only had crows? Or we only had roosters? Or God forbid we only had peacocks. Have you ever listened to a peacock? Oh my God, they are loud. Loud, 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 loud. And I don't care how pretty they are loud. No. The one that we belong in, the universe, that one infinite reality in consciousness moves into form in multiplicity. And that is not only beautiful, the truth is that uniqueness is our power. Because it is the very beauty that we have of our individualized expression of life. As men, as women, as white, as black, as people of color, as indigenous people, as LGBTQIA people, as short people and tall people, as people who have spent the last 400 years in the United States, or people who have just reached our shores. Do you see? Each combination is part of the beauty that each of us adds to life. And when we don't bring ourselves to the table, that piece of life is missing. I remember realizing when I was constantly feeling like I was overlooked at that time, I remember realizing I couldn't be overlooked because Spirit had picked me. You know how I knew Spirit had picked me? Because I was alive. Life had picked me to be me. I belong in my own life. Not just in the universe, but in my own life. And so do you. Life has picked you. The infinite reality of the one, that impulsion of love, has picked you to express itself as. There is no greater love than Spirit has become each one of us, all of us, every being, everywhere. All of life, expressing the infinite. There is no greater love. And it was in that moment that I experienced that incredible love of the divine. I belong to the universe. I belong in my own life. You belong to the universe. You belong in your own life. Because that is beautiful, and it is powerful. And when we see the truth of that, do you see, we see both the spiritual reality of our oneness, and we celebrate the beauty and the power of our diversity, all at the same time. And then we're at the table together. Oh, we'll just do it again, for God's sakes. Brad, I'm going to invite you to come up here if you wouldn't mind, please. You know, we sang that song, I Am So Blessed. Sometimes I feel like it's a little, it can be heard as, look at all the cool stuff I have and how great it is that, you know, we live in a first world country and we have all this cool stuff. But I know Karen Drucker's heart, who wrote that song. And she wrote that song about being at the table, that the banquet of life has been laid for us. The consciousness of reality is always present. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter, and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome at my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest. The table is laid and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I've set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. So it is.
Thank you, Dr. Petra. And we are so blessed. That was a wonderful, wonderful message today. I'd like to ask our greeters to come forward. They have our love offering baskets here today. And this is the time when we get an opportunity to show our support for CSL Dallas. Many of you are members, pledgers, tithers, and oftentimes this is the best time of the service because we get to make good on those pledges. But we also know for everyone, in whatever way that you give, we know that the universe multiplies and returns those gifts back to the giver, and that truly the greatest blessing occurs to the giver. We appreciate your generosity now as you contribute to the work of CSL Dallas. And let's begin together by affirming our abundance affirmation. I accept abundant good flowing freely and share it easily. CSL Dallas receives and shares this divine influx of good. We are loving and generous to all. And so it is. Wow, what a great way to be. Love being that way with you. There are many ways to give. You can text give. There's Venmo, PayPal, auto tithing, or, of course, these baskets that are being passed around right now. Pick the option that works best for you. Now, a couple more things to bring to your attention before we close out today's celebration. Step Out in Faith 2023. This is Emergence, Growing the Garden of Your Life, and it starts March 5th. Is anybody already signed up for a home study group? Raise your hand up if you are. Some people have begun to sign up, and others are signing up to be hosts as well. So that's coming up. One of the pivotal ways to really get comfortable with and learn more about what we teach and what Science of Mind is all about at CSL Dallas is to connect with fellow community members. You can do this, you can grow individually and collectively by joining a home study group. This is the final week actually to sign up to host a home study group, and that can be either in person or online. You don't have to have prior experience hosting a home study group. That's not necessary. All that you need to learn will be provided to you. You just have to create the space. You create a space online or in your home where your tribe can gather for the time of the Step Out in Faith program. Speak with Reverend Patty. She's at the back of the sanctuary. She'll be happy to help you get lined up with a home study group or to learn how to be a host. And if you're going to do that, let her know that for sure today, because this is the day that she needs to put you on the list. Also, starting this Tuesday coming up, the Philosophy of Science of Mind course. This is going to be led by practitioner Avis Ives. Avis is here in the sanctuary. She's waving at me right here in the front, so you can visit with her if you have some questions. She's going to explore the primary concepts and the evolution of applied practical spirituality, which is what we're all about. She's doing this through the intriguing writings of our very own Ernest Holmes, so really getting to the core of CSL and the teachings of Science of Mind. And this course and all others, you can register at our website, csldallas.org/education. And also now, for you young people with kids, I hear a little chatter here on the line. This is terrific. We'd love to have you here. And if you are a parent, you have a chance to take a break, take a breather, have a night out while your children have a great time with our Joy Village community of kids. It's free, and here's what you get: food, fun, arts and crafts, and connection for children ages 4 through 12 years old. It's Parents' Night Out. You should try to reserve your spot for your kids today. You can sign up in Joy Village, or you can go online at csldallas.org, and that's happening this Saturday. We got more information. Oh, all right. It's happening this Saturday. So plan yourself a mom and dad night out and let your kids have a great time at Joy Village. But you got to get signed up. We also have a new Artist of the Month, Kathy Cromer. Please head to Pankey Hall today. See her exquisite artwork. It's already been mounted, set up in the back there where the Science of Mind class is. The colors and the textures, you see these beautiful hearts. It's perfect for February. So please go back and enjoy that. As always, our practitioners are standing by to offer prayer. If you'd like to, you're here on campus, cross the breezeway to the Peace Room across on the other side. If you're online, you can have a Zoom call with one of the practitioners, and they'll be happy to affirm and know your greatest and highest good for you today. They're anxious to do that with you. Now, let's close this time that we've been together by joining in some beautiful music one more time from the CSL Dallas music team.